cause we gotta talk about that bill, so.
Oh, yeah.
Don't sleep.
Yeah, pretty eventful little weekend. Man, when that breeze came through on Saturday, that was just a game changer. Felt so good. Ugh. I actually stayed to the end of the races. So, what'd she say?
Is it the house that Atlas is in right now? What's that? Is Ethan training buildings in there, is that the one that Atlas is in right now?
That I don't understand. Let's see.
It's definitely.
Oh, yep, I missed this one. Oh,
Hmm,
Google Maps. right
yeah,
there.
this was kinda,
Yeah, that's
I
the,
don't understand what.
Atlas's house, and this is where Fritz is at, they just put a fence around it.
Okay, well, I didn't know anything about that, so I'm not gonna be a problem. Alright.
Best I can tell you.
I did already.
Oh, there's a mirror, I didn't see that.
Now, why is that?
I wonder who that is.
I don't know, dear, cause you usually have yours on silent.
I don't think so, no.
That'd be Gail.
He's full of a lot after that
Is that
accident.
one of that?
Will.
That one.
Patrick and.
You're not gonna sign off on it, then you got a tree in the boulevard to take out.
Mm.
They all read it. Yep.
Oh, Jacina had a soccer match tonight, so
Oh.
we're missing that.
This is not.
Thursday is their last one, so make it to that to make up for tonight. Sometimes it's hard to balance. You still got, is that on silent?
It is not. I always have mine on silence, but don't talk to me.
You must have. Kinda surprised me it actually rang. He never has it on so that you can hear it. So if he ever puts it
the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Second, discussion. Hearing none, motion is made and second to approve tonight's agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Approval of the minutes, those are found on pages 1 through 4.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as printed.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, motion and been made and second to approve the minutes as written. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Public input.
I have one thing and an apology. I gave you the wrong date for the party in the park. It is Sunday, August the 25th, and not Saturday, August the 24th. So I would ask, with your permission, to reschedule it to the 25th, if you would put it on your calendars that way.
That we can do.
We do. Okay. Thank you very
Sorry
much.
for that.
Okay.
Actually got it.
Any
on the
additional
25th.
public input? Hearing none, we'll go to the department head reports. I think you read through that. Ron, I noticed you've been, cutting down a few trees. Are there any additional trees you're looking at, or?
Yes.
I think there's, go ahead.
I got a few dead trees on West Second Avenue. There's like 2, 3, 4, I think, but they're smaller. I got one big one by Courtyard Villa. That's a big one. And one over on East Second Avenue for sure.
Okay,
One big one we had, we were a little bit short-handed once we got it because the tree fought us. Normally we're done in a half hour, 45 minutes if we got the people, but the grapple forks we had worked on, or grapple forks on the skid steer, the hydraulic ram broke on it, and so we were struggling with it, but they're back, so backing on and going.
right.
We're trying to pick it off when it's not so hot. But some of the limbs we're trying to do that before we oil, so the trucks don't, when the chip and the trucks are all the way up, they'll rip them down. It's just easier to cut them first, so.
I also intended to go I think, and you may have already done it, but I think there was one, and I can't remember the address, that there might have been over the stop sign, so.
We've cleaned a few of them up. When we were going out, I said, let's get this one particular yield sign, and of course we broke down, forgot all about it, and I drove by it this morning. I'm like, we forgot that tree limb.
Okay.
So for the most part, if you're driving a normal speed, you can see them in time to stop or yield or both. But you got to drive
Yeah,
sensible.
yeah,
Yep.
but so we're aware of it and stuff, so we,
Yep.
okay. very
We're
good.
like I say, picking them off when we're in the general area kind of thing.
Very good,
So.
all right,
Yep.
thank you.
So far, no West Nile out of Han County.
Awesome.
We sent 3 different groups of mosquitoes in just today. We were gonna do it last week, and I thought Dave did it, and he thought I did it, and I said, well, we'll just send it in Monday, so
Yeah,
that happens.
not that it's the most exciting thing to do, but it's always interesting to watch you and usually it's,
Dave or Dan or
Yeah.
Dave,
look over the
Myself.
mosquitoes and stuff, so. put it
best
on the
time to do
microscope.
it is at about 4 o'clock on them real hot days, cause it's air conditioning here, so.
No, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Any questions, Ron? Anything further yet? Thank you, Ron.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other department head questions? Hearing none, just a reminder, at 7:30, we'll temporarily adjourn to convene as a Board of Adjustment for a public hearing. We'll move on to new business. Joe's here with the Baseball Association.
Yep, I just wanted to, it's been since last summer since we talked and, applied for the FEMA grant for the storm shelter bathhouse concession out at the ball fields. I just kinda wanted to revisit that, cause it's been a while since we talked about it, and I've talked to Cindy a couple times about it, that first go around, they ran, I'll maybe let her speak, but, they ran out of funding, but maybe there's a new opportunity now after speaking last week.
Yeah, with that flooding that occurred in June down in the southeastern part of the state, the federal government did declare that as an emergency. So 90 days after the event is about how long it takes for them to gather information, get it going, get money coming to South Dakota. So South Dakota is probably gonna see some federal funds out of that. And it just so happens that storm shelters fall under that mitigation funding. So I've been in touch with Leslie Ann out of NECOG, or with NECOG, and she said we can definitely reapply, we just need to get some updated cost estimates. And she'll be getting back to me by the end of this month.
Sounds good. Okay.
So yeah, I just wanted to visit about that, just, you know, in the event that potentially it's not approved or they do run out of funding, if we needed to potentially look at a plan B. Reason being, I know the original reason for this, when I ran into it once this year, we had a practice out there and some pretty nasty clouds came up and there wasn't a parent in sight, you know, we got two fields full of kids out there, and whether we do or we don't get this funding, I think it should be high on the priority list to get some type of, with us, you know, I had to load up my pickup full of kids and haul them to town and drive them to their houses and stuff, and it's just bad situation to be in, so if, I guess if we don't, I would like to discuss, you know, potentially a plan B option, for that. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up too is, we're looking at doing, I did contact Mike Wardle out at the Legion too, behind the two small fields right behind home plate, those bleachers. We're looking at, we're getting estimates on putting in permanent sunshades. We bought some shades to put on the chain link fence, but the wind just tears the heck out of those and it's just not sustainable. So we're looking at putting in some wood posts with some steel decking that'll withstand the wind and snow in the wintertime. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention to get potential approval for that. We haven't got bids yet, so we're not 100% sure, see how much it's gonna cost, but probably something we're gonna go forward with, assuming the city and the Legion is okay with that.
Okay. Very good.
And then I just wanted to, I don't know how involved some of you are out there, been out there, but I just want everybody to know what an excellent job Roger does out there. The fields this year, where we get these towns that come here and they play games, just always compliment how nice our facilities are, and it did make a big difference having Andy Canham and John Fanning's crews out there. The weed control was really good this year. They did a really good job on that too. So just wanted to let you guys know the fields were excellent this year. So
Okay, appreciate it.
Yep.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Joe.
Any questions for Joe?
any questions for me?
No. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, and we just want to reiterate too, the job that Roger does. He's pretty adverse, or knows his stuff about baseball and the expectations, how things are, so, and he performs up to that, okay? Second item on the new business is a Miller Ace Hardware event. I don't think neither one of them, okay. There was word that they were gonna contact a councilman, but they didn't. So, third one on the agenda is code enforcement building permits. That's, Will, you had that.
Yeah, I had a few questions and comments, kind of. You know, we've got a system for how we give building permits, and I think that is an important thing, but we have a building permit coming in here tonight that is, it's already done. And they knew it, that they needed a permit, and they still continued to move a house in. And, you know, is that something that we're okay with, or is that something that there are repercussions for? Because, I mean, there's another trailer park in town that moves in new trailer houses from time to time. They always get permits. They always do things the way they're supposed to. You know, it seems like on some people, we really hold them to the standard of, gotta get a building permit before you start building. And then sometimes that isn't the case at all. And I would like to see some sort of actual enforcement on, do you have to have a building permit before you move in a structure or build one? Because otherwise, what's the point in having any of these regulations if we don't follow them? Or insist that they be followed?
Is that the one that's over across from where my mom used to live at 409 East?
Darn.
And it's been sitting there for,
Been for sale for a while. Yep. And, you know, some of these trailer houses that did get moved in without the permit are arguably already in code violation. And there may be plans to fix that, maybe not be, but no one knows that when they get moved in because there isn't a permit.
I think if you look through there, Patrick, I'm not gonna quote, but there is a penalty for,
I'm seeing where it says you're supposed to, but I'm not seeing anything beyond that. It's just said that it's required, but no penalty or anything like that of doing something without, but I'm just at the buildings and construction parts. I don't know if there's a penalty.
In the old book, on the very front page, it had $100 per day. I don't know about the new book. The old book had that on the first page, but when they adopted this new one, I don't know if that's.
can't recall 100, but I think that I know,
It was on the front page, I
yeah,
don't remember. But this new book, I haven't read the whole thing. I read parts of it.
On one end of the spectrum, we're sending letters to people that have an expired plate on their camper. And it's a big enough deal that we send them a letter, but then on the other hand, on the other side of that, we have people moving in structures without permits that are, again, arguably already a code violation. And that seems like that is not how that is supposed to be.
well, that doesn't look like much of a trailer over there either.
That's, when I say it's arguably a code violation, that's what I'm getting at.
I would be for,
Section 40-30.
yeah.
I would be for pulling that off the permits and denying it.
Section 40.
What better way to send them?
40-33.
So it's $25 per day. Fine up to $200 or 30 days in jail for such class 2 misdemeanor, is the way it's listed in here.
Would that be considered 2 violations then?
You're supposed to have a building permit for each one.
But does it say it's per day
Mhm.
or per, because every day is an offense that you don't have a permit.
Yep, so I'll read the whole section 40-33 in order. Any person violating any provision of this chapter shall be deemed guilty of a misdemeanor, and upon conviction thereof may be punishable by a fine up to $200 and 30 days in jail for such class 2 misdemeanor. Furthermore, any person who violates this chapter in addition to the punishment prescribed herein shall be liable up to $25 per day for each and every day during which such illegal locating, erection, construction, reconstruction, enlargement, change, maintenance, or use continues. So the way I read that, we might, correct me, I'm up to, the way I read it is we can impose the $25 per day penalty, but the $200 and 30 days in jail, that's gotta be by a judge.
yeah.
Would you agree, Ted? You wanna take a look at it and read it?
No, it's.
Okay.
I would agree, like, you know, we could write a citation, since it's class two, they'd get a court date. But we recently talked to Elton about, fireworks, just to be prepared that if we were to write a citation for violation of the fireworks, ordinance, just understand that Lindsay, would need to come here and be the prosecutor since it's a city ordinance, so we'd have to pay
A
the city
lawyer.
attorney to come prosecute it. It wouldn't be anything to do with Elton.
But we can still impose that fine.
Fine, yes.
Correct?
The 25.
$5 a day.
Yeah, I'd say that would be in the process of however you do, you know,
Any
if you have to
other-
mow somebody's yard, don't you put it on their water bill or whatever? I'd say that's how you would do that.
We don't put it on the water bill, we just bill them separate.
Or,
Yeah.
same process, I guess I would say. I suppose you'd have to start with a letter to tell them when day one is, you know, and they really probably wouldn't get a bill until it's gone, because it keeps tallying up, right?
Unless we were to sign the building permit, and then that's the day that it stops, I guess would be the
Well, yeah,
alternative
yeah.
deal. Because they do have the paperwork in for the building permit. So today would be, if we approved it, would be the end date, but I don't know how long the stuff has been in there.
Couple weeks.
I was here the day they came in and they said they were gonna fix them up. Fixing something up for one person and then fixing up for the next guy.
Yeah, that's what.
So-
Maximum fine is $200,
Yeah.
Well, that,
correct?
That's
that is
Yeah.
what a class 2 misdemeanor is. So that's
more on
just the
criminal
expl,
side.
that's on the, what a judge would have to do and a court of law would have to do.
I'm
But
thinking,
we could charge them $25 a day. If they left there 90 days, we'd charge them $25 a day for 90 days with a
Up until their building
Building
permit.
permit.
So that's the catch 22 is they don't have an active building permit right now.
okay.
Or 30 days in jail, whatever the judge wants to do. But that's different.
Right.
That's
then you
just how
have to
it's
have a court
listed.
proceeding for that.
Yeah. So it's just a discussion of how we want to proceed with people that are just going around us and don't care.
Well,
That's the issue in its entirety that I would like to address, is people that just do whatever they want.
Happens every day almost.
yeah. Well, I think according to the ordinance, we're open to up to a $200 fine without any further litigation, according to that ordinance. Am I correct?
I think the way Patrick said it is correct.
The $200 would be a fine imposed by a judge. We are not limited at
We
the
can,
200.
we can levy 25 a day.
We can levy 25 a day. Okay,
Without an end date until they have a building
Okay.
permit that's active. So I mean, if it's been, we'd have to know the start day.
which I can't remember the exact date, but Dustin filled us in during one of our committee meetings last week about when they moved them on. So Dustin would have a good idea of when they were moved into that lot.
Aren't they taking the chance that if we didn't approve the building permit, they'd have to take them off?
well,
If we don't approve that, then they're in violation.
Right.
But we also need to have I would say we need to have just cause to not approve a building permit.
yeah.
I would
haven't-
just think it's in their best interest to do a building permit, to get it first and then move it in, because that's a pretty big thing, moving something like that in, I would think.
And that's how it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
Well,
Where are the building permits
if,
at now?
if you would impose the building permit, it would be contingent upon the paying of the said fine imposed.
And I'm not opposed to that solution to the issue.
But we also have to keep in mind, this isn't the first time somebody has
Yeah.
has done this. You know, I don't know if it's been as long as this, or I don't know, I can't say, but I know building permits in some cases, a few cases, have been approved after the fact. So we have to keep a very keen eye with regard to, to
Yeah.
this.
Well, we've had other things though that we fixed that in the past were done a certain way. There comes a time when it's time to do it the way you're supposed to do it.
Yes, I'm not,
What better
Oh,
way
yeah.
to send a message than right now?
Yep.
I agree. I mean, I'm not disagreeing on that.
And I think a pair of houses is substantially different than somebody putting up a garden shed. And there's a big difference there as
Okay.
well.
Okay,
It's true.
keep an eye on that 7:30 for me, though.
I understand that work shall not begin until the permit is issued by the Miller City Council, and that I am responsible for calling all required inspections, that work shall be accessible for inspections. So, it's right here on what the applicant signed, that work shall not begin until the permit is issued. So,
Okay,
I'd say we need to get a date on when they moved in. We can elect or not elect to approve the building permit when it comes up, but then we can, I guess I'm in favor of, we still need to take them by case basis on any time we're levying a fine for something, but I think this would constitute it being worthy.
okay.
Agreed.
What everybody else's thought is.
Okay, we have time, 6 minutes before we have to approve the building permit, so we could go down. Anything else on?
Nope, that was.
Okay,
that
then
was
what we
it.
could do is go down to item B with regard to Elizabeth Olson's request for the mobile homes which are already in place.
I would move that we deny the building permit and try to ascertain at what point they were moved in and assess the $25 per day on that. And when the assessment is paid, they can come back and ask for their building permit again. That's my motion.
I'd second that.
Discussion.
I just want to discuss on, so are we knowingly not giving the permit and then just computing $25 more a day until our next meeting? Or are we stopping at tonight's meeting for the fine?
I would think we could stop it at tonight's meeting, and I would make that part of the motion if it's all right with my seconder.
Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
That way we don't stack on, but if we send the message that this crap needs to end.
And one thing we gotta look at too is that a portable building at our committee meeting, we've got
Talked
a
about.
lot of stuff started on that, but just keep in mind that, I mean, if they come back and say, well, that's portable trailer, it's not,
The storage
that's
pods.
just one thing they could come back and say, well,
To some degree, everything
Yes.
is portable. I mean,
Yes.
when you move in a governor's house, it was moved in, but not very many people are gonna call that portable.
And the catch-22 is this is a residence. I just think that's a,
just so you're
Yeah.
aware, that everyone's aware of that, but Cindy's working on that deal, so.
with a smile on her face. Okay, discussion. I will have one with regard to the motion. I have, and I'm just gonna interject this. What, if the motion would entail that, that once it is, the fine is imposed with regard to the number of days, could that be contingent on approving the building permit, or do you wanna, I mean, we can still wait till the next board, council meeting. Either way. You understand what I?
Well, as long as we're not
Fine.
stacking another $25 a day from today on,
Yep.
it's not like
and
they're
that's
waiting on
covered in the
construction.
motion.
Pardon me?
It's not like they're waiting on it to start
Okay,
construction.
all right, I'm okay. We have a motion and a second on the table.
To quick clarify, are we imposing one fine, or is it times two for two building permits? 2,000.
I'd say it was 2 because it required 2 building permits.
Well,
Is it
she's,
dollar amount? Like,
The code says $25 a day for violation of it. And it requires 2 building permits to put 2
I think,
mobile homes on, so we're allowed to do 2.
did they do 2 or 1 building permit?
2.
So it looks like 2 because they filled out 2 applications, but they're the exact same. The only thing that's different is
The map,
the map. And then on the one application for estimated cost of construction, they have $12,000 total for both lots. So I don't know if you want to accept that as 2 separate applications or 1,
how much was the check for?
$35.
Which is for 1 application or 2? Or I guess that's.
1.
Okay, then I would say that, could charge them for 2 then, I would agree with that.
So you, total of $50 a day.
I don't feel strongly either way. Either
I
one.
think, maybe I should speak, but I think Justin told them that they could do 1 application. He said, put everything you want on the 1 application.
Okay.
But, I mean, you might wanna talk to him about that.
We can just
He's
do,
the one that does.
Just do the one, we're trying to send a message is what my
Okay,
point is.
do the 1.
I'm
All right.
fine with that.
Motion has been made and a second to deny the building permit, but to impose a $25 a day fine starting from the day that the homes were moved in, and then move the approval of the building permit consideration to the next meeting. Am I correct on that?
Yep.
Okay,
but ending the fine levy on today's date.
yeah,
Yep.
fine, okay, all right. Okay, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Okay, we're gonna just wait 30 seconds? Oh, we got a couple minutes. That's off, isn't it? Okay, we have a couple more. I thought we were closer to, we have, on item C, we have a super and hotel shed, and then Ethan Kramer fence.
That's a typo on item number C. It's supposed to say Super 8,
Super
not the
8.
and sign.
Or Super 8.
Oh.
I was wondering. Okay, that's okay. Super 8 shed.
Okay.
I make a motion that we approve building permits for C and D.
Second it.
Discussion? Hearing none, motion has been made and second to approve the building permits for the Super 8 hotel for a shed and the Ethan Kramer for fence. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Because we have to wait on A till after the variance. hearing,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Okay.
That's what I'm waiting for.
Your big round clock is fast. Oh, this one over here is.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what you're saying. Yes.
Okay, we'll temporarily adjourn as a common council and convene of the Board of Adjustments for the purpose of hearing a variance request from Adam and Christina Seekland with regard to a fence. I'll have any proponents for the fence come up.
That's you.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I was told that I needed to have a variance on on my lot. So I decided to go through the proper channels and file for that. And I had the council members come over and explained what I wanted to do, and so.
Okay, and what you're doing is you're just requesting who has his building permit, okay,
I don't have it, but it
Okay.
is a fence on the front of the house past the offset of the block. But the way it's set up now with foliage and trees and all that, it wouldn't be any obstruction to, visual as it sits now. So I personally am okay with it.
okay?
Yep.
That's what I was looking for, just more or less.
I looked at it too, they asked me, I took a look, and I think you hit it right on the head, that because of the way the vegetation is there, the hedge to the west, and there is a stop sign, I believe, at that intersection too.
And the trees in the boulevard are
Yep.
hindrances,
So-
anything.
Yeah, there'll be no obstruction. We looked at it.
Okay. Any more proponents for with regard to, or anyone opponents with regard to the variance request? Hearing none, I could entertain them.
I make a motion
Motion.
that we approve the variance for Adam Christina Seeklander for the purpose of fence.
Second.
Discussion? Okay, motion has been made and second for the purpose of variance request for the fence requested. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Now
Thank
we
you.
reconvene as a common council.
Make a motion that we approve Adam and Seeklander building permit for the fence.
Okay,
Second.
discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Good,
I
because we should have
appreciate your
done.
wife and stuff I mean, she called me and I know several, and you went through the right channels, so that made it.
Dustin had made it known that maybe it would be a good idea to visit with everybody and then get your guys' input on it before. I have no problem paying $150 for a variance, but if it wasn't gonna be approved.
Yeah, I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah,
It makes the project altogether.
Makes it way easier to know what it is when you have already gone and looked at it.
Right.
absolutely.
Right.
Because a lot of times you don't want to approve something unless you have a visual image of what it is at the property that's being built on, okay? Item number 5 is a resolution number 2024-8. This is in with regard to initiated measure 28, and that's found on page 9. We talked a little bit about this. I mentioned it earlier, and this is just going to be, if approved, this is going to be our stand on it. Resolution 2024-8, the City of Miller, the resolution opposing initiated measure 28. Whereas initiated measure 28 was certified for the November 2024 general election ballot by the South Dakota Secretary of State. Whereas initiated measure 28 is, if passed, would remove the state, municipal, and tribal taxes on all items sold for human consumption except alcohol and prepared food. Whereas human consumption is undefined in the South Dakota Codified Law or the state or the South Dakota Constitution. Black's Law dictionary defines consumption as the act of destroying a thing by using it, the use of a thing in a way that exhausts it. Whereas South Dakota Codified Law 34-45-1-7 defines tobacco products as any item made of tobacco intended for human consumption, including cigarettes, cigars, pipe tobacco, and smokeless tobacco, and vapor products as defined in section 34-46-20. Whereas South Dakota Codified Law 10-52-2 allows an incorporated municipality to pose a tax on the sale, use, storage, and consumption of items that conform to all respects to the state tax on such items up to 2%. Whereas initiated Measure 28 is the direct conflict with existing state law, and the Attorney General's explanation of the measure state's legislative and judicial clarification would be needed if the measure passed. Whereas the City of Miller levies a 2% sales tax and collected $1,015,322.84 in 2023 fiscal year, and $65,506 and 69 cents a year to date in 2024 fiscal year. Whereas the City of Miller estimated annual lost revenue of $159,000 unless initiated measure is rejected by the voters in South Dakota. Now therefore it be resolved by the City Council of Miller that initiated Measure 28 would negatively impact our community and its residents. Dated the 5th day of August 2024. The research, or the thing that I know the intention, but some argue whether or not the initiated measure is written properly. And we're not saying, we're saying a no to the measure. You stand in opposition to it. Basically for clarification of to what extent and to if municipalities are going to be able to, obviously, or I shouldn't say obviously, but in the statute, if the state is not allowed to tax, neither is the city. So that would take away our 2% sales tax. And then what you do is you turn it over to the, the state legislature to maybe define what they mean by consumption. And as an educator, as a parent, I remember when we, the citizens of South Dakota, changed the Constitution with regard to gaming. All that money was supposed to go to education, but it wasn't written down. Guess what? That money didn't go to education. I mean, it went in a roundabout way. Some of it did. So, anyway, it's just a stand with regard to opposition of the measure and the concern and with regard to the range, if passed, would impact municipalities.
Personal feelings, one way or the other, regardless, this is still gonna be on the ballot for people to vote
Yes.
for, right?
Yes.
I just don't know, I think it's a slippery slope where city government is telling people where they think they should vote for. I mean, we can make statements, but actually making a full resolution on what we want them to do.
We're not really telling them how to vote. We're just saying it would negatively impact our community and its residents.
And that's another tough slope too, because it can negatively impact one thing, but another side could say that money in their pocket is positively impacting them, so that's why I just,
But I think, yeah, if they put money in their pocket from no sales tax on food, all these communities are gonna have to come up with another way to make up that revenue. So either way, it's gonna impact everyone.
Or you're gonna be giving up a certain quality of life that you're used to.
Or there'll be programs and stuff, there'll be cuts that have to be made.
I see what you're saying, Pat.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the government teacher coming out. We have two types of taxes, two of the regressive and a progressive tax. Regressive tax is pretty much everybody pays the same. Progressive tax is supposedly the more you make, the more you pay. Sales tax is a regressive tax. But I also, some are saying that this might open the door to an income tax. Well, we can put scare tactic or speculations out there, but somehow the revenue is going to have to be made up. With regard to sales tax, we can see how many people outside of the city of Miller and outside the state of South Dakota come in and buy consumable goods. So that's a revenue that's being generated by outside entities or outside individuals. And I, you don't want to tell anybody how to vote. I mean, that's up to the individual themselves. But just the concern, some people have with regard to, how this measure is written. And I'm not a lawyer. I try to rely on the sources that I have that can explain to me the manner in which it is written. And I think that's the concern it is, because it, some questions left to be answered if passed.
Honestly, I kind of think that at least by this resolution, we are letting people know that there is going to be an impact on the money coming into our city, and I don't think we're telling them how to vote, but we're making them more informed. Because, when you look at the fact that we collected $1,015,322 in 2023, I mean, that provided funds for our, things that we needed in this city that everybody enjoys. And if we wouldn't have that money, like you say, there's gonna be cuts or something, because you're gonna have to make up for the loss of the money that we don't have coming in. So I don't think we're telling them how to vote by doing this resolution. I think that we are telling them what could happen if it passes, So I have no problem with this resolution.
And it said, would the annual revenue loss be about $159,000
Yeah.
if passed?
It may just inspire some people to study it a little bit and see what the impacts are. And I think that's our intent.
Yeah.
Our intent is not to tell them how to vote or how we would like them to vote. It's to inform them, and I think that it's very well written in that regard, I think.
Yeah.
Do we have a motion on the?
Not yet. We discussed.
I would make a
little
motion that we pass Resolution 2024-8.
And I'll second that.
discussion. Hearing on all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
Aye.
Who was that?
Patrick? Okay, let the record indicate that we had one of, in opposition and 5-1 vote. Motion passed. Okay. And I think as we move on, people can become more and more aware of not only that one, there's a couple other ones that I think are pretty important to look at. One of that is to have, go from a closed primary state to an open primary state. So that's kind of an interesting one too, so having said that. Item number 6, Phase 4 Water Utility Improvement Project. You see SPN invoice for 34218-34223, total of $21,275.35. And that is found on pages 10 through 12.
I move to approve SPN invoices 34218 to 34223.
Second.
Discussion? Terry, anything on that? Okay. Okay, motion on the table and seconded to, pay SPN's invoices as read for $21,275.35. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. TLC Olson, pay application number 1 for $789,314.15. Those were found on page 13 through 15.
And if you do entertain a motion to pay that, I would ask that you make that contingent upon funding received from DANR, because it's a big one.
Okay.
And that's been approved, we're just waiting on the funds?
Yeah.
Okay.
We just have to put it in a drawdown. Ted
Okay.
didn't do it last week. We'll get back to it tomorrow.
Make a motion that we approve TLC Olson pay application number 1, contingent on funds hitting our accounts.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, motion has been made and seconded to pay request number 1 to Olson upon contingent upon the funds received. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. TLC Olson change order number 2, that is found on page 16. That's just the wastewater will now go east down Donlin Street.
And it always was. Right, or no, it wasn't, never mind.
No.
We had it in the original,
That's a change. And that will be for 40,000. Wait a minute. No.
40,375.70.
That'd be the increase.
That's the increase.
Yeah. Construction price is, yeah,
It's the increase, but still within budget of phase 4.
yes.
Make a motion that we approve TLC Olson change order number 2.
I'll second it.
Discussion? Hearing none, motion is made and second to approve the TLC Olson Construction change order number 2. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next item of the business is executive session.
Y'all have a good evening.
Yes,
Thank you.
You as well.
We making a motion?
Oh,
I make a motion, we move to executive session.
I'll second.
Second? Okay.
That's 7:48.
I forgot even we had to do it yet, because I was reading this thing.
I know, so-